Hi, my name is Robin May and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Is there any other girls in their 20s right now and wondering if this is what it's supposed to feel like? One minute you're just figuring out your schedule, you're settling into your new job, maybe you're going on some dates, and the next your group chats are full of baby showers, engagements, wedding plans, pregnancy announcements. And let me start off by saying that this is not shaming anybody who is doing this in their 20s. This is just for the girls who aren't. And I want to be here to remind you that timeline anxiety is a thing and it can be so difficult to navigate. And I want to help you get through that. I'd be lying if sometimes these milestones don't make me pause and ask, are we all meant to be doing this right now? Are we just watching like a script play out? It feels so unfamiliar when you're not in it. And for those of you who are in it, I hope you're doing what feels the absolute best for you. But I've really been noticing how much pressure we're all putting on ourselves and how we're carrying this energy of where we should be right now. And it's not because we're behind, because we're constantly measuring ourselves against timelines that were never ours to begin with. For context, I'm the oldest daughter, first child, eldest sibling, okay? And I have 3 siblings under the age of 10. But because of that, I have a front row seat to childhood, parenting, responsibility, and care as an adult. And I think that's something that a lot of us actually don't get. Have siblings, you grow up together, you see what it's like, especially as an older sibling, to be around a child. But for most of your adult life, you're not actually around young children in a very close way, unless maybe you are a teacher or you work with kids. But I think as an adult, we don't really get to have close proximity to children, babies in those early stages. We're usually just handed stories from our parents or grandparents or generations before us. They're often cautionary tales. They're probably a little bit filtered or even romanticized. But we rarely learn what this stage of life looks like from people our own age. I recently heard this term called egregore, and it's basically a collective belief system, something that exists because we all have kind of subconsciously agreed that it does. And it made me wonder if this applies to our timeline. Get a job, get married, have kids. That's just another societal egregore and a story that we just keep repeating because we feel like we're supposed to. And it makes me wonder if at 30 years old, we've lived enough life as individuals to commit to such a lifelong responsibility. Some of us are just now meeting ourselves. Mental lows finally closing. Maybe you've finally gone through your Saturn return. This is the first time maybe you're feeling like your identity feels stable. Like you really, really know yourself. This is a hot take, but there's something that's deeply misogynistic about the concept of this timeline for women because we're constantly reminded of this biological clock. We're simultaneously supposed to be figuring out ourselves, figuring out our career, figuring out our body, figuring out our purpose, all at the same time, having this pressure applied about this biological clock. So the reframe that I'm holding is that there is no right timeline. There's only an honest one. So how do you find your honest timeline? I know it sounds kind of ambiguous. So here are my ins and outs for 2026 when it comes to timeline anxiety. First things first, I'm trusting my personal timing. Even when it doesn't look impressive, even when it's quiet, and even when no one can really see what I'm building, I'm embracing what makes it unique to me. Second thing is understanding that we build in seasons. Letting some of our months be expansive, letting others be more introspective. Not everything has to peak at once. This is probably the most important one and the most difficult. Staying in the process longer than my ego wants to. Go of rushing to prove and not forcing milestones just to feel caught up. And lastly, redefining success as alignment. Let the success that you achieve be a reminder of you are exactly where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing. Not about speed, and it's not about comparison, but more so how grounded you feel in the choices that you're making. So here are the outs. The first out is panicking when somebody else hits a milestone first. So getting down on yourself when you see that a friend is getting engaged or they're having a baby or they just bought their first home. I want you to say their timeline does not threaten mine. Next, Treating age like a deadline. Growth is not linear. Though we age linearly, every year that passes, we get older. Growth may accelerate at different times. It may slow down at different times. So understand that your growth is not linear. Forcing decisions just to feel ahead. Understand that nothing meaningful comes from rushing out of fear. The last thing is you are going to let go of the belief that you are late. You are not late. You're exactly where you're meant to be. I want to end off by saying that this is not about opting out of marriage, kids, commitment. It's about opting in consciously. Some people are meant to build families early. Some are meant to build themselves first. And some can do both at the same time. And some people will just choose entirely differently. Timeline anxiety does not mean you're behind. It means you're becoming aware of where you're headed. And awareness always comes before alignment. The solution to timeline anxiety is not to speed up the timeline. You soften your anxiety by trusting that your timeline and your life is unfolding in a way that you can actually sustain. Nothing that is meant for you will require you to abandon yourself to get there, because there is no universal timeline. The only misalignment is living someone else's timeline instead of living your own. If this video resonated with you, I want to tell you, you are not behind, you are becoming. If you enjoyed this conversation, please let me know in the comments where you're feeling the most anxiety in your timeline. I would love to talk more about it because this is something that's been so heavy on my mind and on my girlfriend's mind. And if you want to see more reframes, I'm posting these every single week. I post here on YouTube and I also post a read-only version on Substack. So if that's more your vibe, you can definitely tap it. And I will see you next week.